So, some of you, perhaps most of you, know that this is a variety talk show, and to provide some variety, we have three wonderful guest artists, each as different from each other as possible, each very, very unique in their own way. So our first guest artist that I'd like to introduce is Simeon Hine. Yes, please welcome Simeon Hine. Have your books.
Thank you, Dr. Liss.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Hine.
Doctor of Vibe.
Oh, well, thank you. So have a seat.
Oh, sure.
And, yeah.
How are you this evening, sir?
I am well. I thought I would wear my casual clothing for the Yes, thank you. So Simeon, you are an author of nonfiction books. I wonder if I can be heard in every corner of the room. We could probably amplify ourselves.
Ira, take off your tape.
Oh, all right.
I like the tips.
Okay.
That special jersey.
Yes.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a special.
Somehow you're not the same without your tape.
Right. Well, somehow we'll get along. Actually, I made this at Lisco. Little plug out of gold paper. Yes. Okay. So you are the author of several books here.
Crazy.
So I
just can't stop typing. I don't know what it is. It's some sort of mental defect.
Well, no, you are a very curious individual, and you are curious.
So it all started with you, Ira, because years ago I met Ira it was a talent show in South Boulder.
It was at a deli that no longer exists.
It was at Corny's Deli, and I signed up on this list, and I joined his improv class.
Right.
And we started, learned a lot of good skills there, how to say yes, never say no, I would say yes. But the most important thing is one day I were just having coffee and he said, Simeon, you need to write a book. I said, what? He says, yes. I was teaching this thing called remote viewing, which I still do. It's this non-local perception. And I had done these things, crop circles. So Ira said, yes, it's going to be called Opening Minds. And here we are, 2002, 22 years later, and we're still
Time flies.
writing books about UFOs and Bigfoot. I know some of you have seen these things, you're just not saying very much. Yes, Dr. Hine knows these things about you.
Right, so the thing about your books,
You have a lot of pictures, and you did a lot of the illustrations.
I did illustrations for.
They are so
several.
cool.
Right. Well, but let's not. We're here to talk about you, Simeon.
Okay.
I'm here to facilitate. But,
Please.
Yes. So we could call your books nonfiction.
Right.
However, they do cover subjects that many people would say, oh, that's just fiction.
Right, exactly.
Just somebody made that up.
Right.
So the subject matter of the books that you cover, there's crop circles and UFOs and extraterrestrials.
Yes.
And your
Bigfoot.
latest book, your latest book here, is Dark Matter Monsters, which deals with Bigfoot. Now, I can almost hear, if not in this room, I can hear it across the earth. My ears are, they're problems actually. But I can hear like maybe a scoffing. They're on Bigfoot. I mean, that's make-believe, or they're on ETs and UFOs.
Are you kidding me?
Right. That would be, I think, a response of many people. So So what is different about your point of view that you can take these subjects that so many people would scoff at and make it I don't know something as a shadow side maybe of science?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I think this is what we call the paranormal.
Okay.
And what I realized is the human experience is much more varied and broad than we generally talk about in public.
Okay.
Because of fear of ostracism and stigma.
Right.
We're all basically brought up to fit in, to
Right.
fit into a system.
Right.
But we have experiences that don't quite match up
Right.
with that version of reality that we're taught about. So we repress these memories, these experiences, and we tend to laugh at them when people describe them,
Right.
which makes them even less likely to talk about it. And in sociology, we call those hidden events. These are things that people are experiencing, but they're afraid to talk about because of fear of stigma. And so I realized all these paranormal experiences that people have are actually types of hidden events that are more widespread than people generally admit to. You know.
So you mentioned sociology, and I'd like to point out you have a PhD in
Yes.
sociology.
Post hole digger.
A post.
Oh, that's what my girlfriend used to call me. And I dug a lot of post holes for her.
Okay.
I'm really good at digging post holes.
Oh, well, that's good to know. So you say these are hidden events and that they're repressed events.
Yeah, and we've heard Congress talking a lot about this recently. It's on the news, and it's going to become bigger and bigger because finally people have decided enough's enough. We need to talk about what people experience, you know, people in our military services and other people that pilots and people, ordinary people that see things that don't fit what you and I were taught is real, but there it is outside your cockpit window or wherever it is. And you've all seen this on the news recently in Congress having discussions, and it's quite a serious issue. But I just think it's the tip of the iceberg. I actually see us surrounded by an invisible reality that we tend to push away, full of other creatures and life forms and intelligence.
Right.
And it's sort of our upbringing to think that humans are the top of the food chain. And maybe we're not, and I think that's just too scary to talk about. So we prefer to laugh at it.
Right, and repress it by shaming people who
Precisely.
speak of it. When you speak of this unconscious or this hidden part of the universe, since I know that many people here are in the arts as poets, musicians, visual artists, it seems to me that this vast unconscious or this vast hidden world is also the world from which we create our art, and it's the world of intuition.
No, that's a very good point. I mean, artists have worked in secret for hundreds of years, creating, works of their own imagination and creativity, and sometimes
Well, some have hidden their work deep in caves. Is what I
deep in caves and underground. And
Yes.
so that's a good point. Sometimes this energy gets expressed as art because it's sort of safe. We can kind of keep it at a distance. We can go and look at it at the museum somewhere and then, go home.
Right.
But the thing is, these things sometimes show up in our homes
Right.
or around our neighborhoods, and we don't really know what to do with them. So
Right.
people tend to, they become ostracized. They isolate themselves rather than coming forward with their stories. So what I've found talking to hundreds of witnesses over 2 decades is people have memories that come back of things that have happened to them that are really unexplainable by our modern sense of reality. Yet when you compare people's experiences, there's a lot of similarities. So it really has a scientific basis. It's just a basis that the modern scientific system doesn't really want to look at.
Want to address.
It doesn't want to address because it's outliers. It's just too far out of the mainstream. It's outside the norm. And we've been a society that pushes outliers away. And that is our Achilles heel. Because
That's the dark side of our modern society.
the dark side.
Is pushing artists away or poetry away.
anything that's really different.
Yes, and some of the way I would say that art and poetry and visual arts are pushed away is they're not funded. and stuff that we might say is not real, like fear of a particular country or a particular race or a particular people. We fund police forces and we fund militaries in the trillions of dollars, and the arts and those who might study these kind of fringe subjects, they get pennies or nothing at all.
Right, and we fund secrecy.
We fund secrecy.
We fund secrecy. We're funding it right now, and it doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve us.
Wow, wow.
Sort of.
Well,
It's like a funnel that just everything goes in and very little comes out.
right.
And we end up living in an illusion of reality rather than in reality. You know,
Right,
and you
because
can't do that forever, or the universe, reality catches up with you eventually.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of reality catching up with us, you are a writer and you're also a musician.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so could we hear one of your pieces? So you might not know that Simeon is an excellent guitar player. Shall I say acoustic guitar, Simeon? Is that?
Yeah, it's pretty much acoustic. We're all set up here. Let me just
Okay.
get all the button out.
So while Simeon is getting the guitar out, I will say that Simeon's books are for sale. You could look at some on the table in the back, next to a wonderful human named Irish and the director of the show, Hector Munoz. Yes, and Opening Lines, I do believe, was Simeon's first book. And he came out with it when I was earning my living as a graphic designer and sometimes an illustrator. So
If you could ever get Ira to illustrate your books, count yourself lucky. That's all I will say.
well,
He's a very good listener, and he actually describes artistically what you're thinking. That's what you do.
well, it's very kind of you, Simeon, but we're here to highlight our guest artists. So these books are available for sale, and I think you have some CDs back there
Yes,
as
I've
well.
got some CDs. Let's on with the show.
Okay.
So everything that doesn't end up in the books ends up somewhere on the guitar. So I was lucky. I had a mom that taught me when I was 12 or 13 how to do finger picking. This is like a half a century ago. So I've been playing ever since. And we grew up near Pete Seeger and the Hudson and so forth. And I grew up around acoustic guitar, so we don't need the mic.
Oh.
So I've been studying Bigfoot, as we were talking about. They're not very far away. They're right over there. And read the book if you don't believe me, people. But anyway, I just thought I'd read this song. This is called "Ride My Big Feet," and it was a song. Yeah. So I talked to so many people that have encountered these life forms around the Colorado area. I started to imagine what it would be like if one of them let you piggyback on them, since they're like 7, 9, 10 feet tall. What would it feel like to go through the forest on the back of a Bigfoot if they were giving you a ride? See, that's what this song has to do with. And here we go.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Actually, do we have a moment for more conversation? Yeah. How about can you wear that sitting down? Sure.
I like to try standing up because when I hear music, I like to move. If you're just sitting in a chair, it's not that fun.
Right.
True.
But when did you discover that you love to play guitar?
My first concert was Led Zeppelin, Madison Square Garden.
Oh, really?
In 1977. When I saw those four guys on the stage, electrifying 20,000 people, I was hooked to that sound. But I always wanted just to create it with acoustic instruments without too much amplification. So my goal over the past 50 years has been, can you create the intensity of rock and roll with an acoustic instrument? And I think that you can, but can you kind of create that just with one instrument, with the bass sound, the rhythm, the percussion, and get it all, just in one thing, just sort of compressed sound until it becomes almost like something else.
Well, I think you do beautifully.
Well, thank you.
And I think we might agree that part of it's gorgeous.
That's my newest song.
I'm so. And is it possible for people to hear more of your music online or purchase a CD, or how does that work?
Yeah, no, you can just put my name into YouTube. Okay. And I have a YouTube channel. It's actually an interesting channel because some of the videos are about ideas, and some of it's just sound and songs. And you can go to SoundCloud. My music website is Opening Minds, like the book, Opening Minds Music. Oh, so it all kind of fits together.
Well,
.com.
Opening Minds
Music.com.
OpeningMindsMusic.com. Well, lovely. So I mean, part of let's say an intention of the show is almost like a little sample, like a chocolate box. So we're not going to be able to experience every flavor of every guest artist, but I hope that this interview moment will give you a feeling of curiosity and a way to find out more about our guest artists. Yes. So something I'm thinking. It's often that there's this paradigm or this image that we have two halves of the brain, and that's just physiology. I mean, there's this. Fortunately, I haven't had to look at my brain in that physical way. But there are two halves of the brain, and one half is supposed to be, I don't know, the more verbal or intellectual, maybe the place of ideas, and the other half is supposed to be the arts, the intuition, the music, and so on. And I wonder if you've ever thought of yourself as having a wonderfully balanced two halves of the brain. Because here you are intellectualizing and analyzing and observing in 4 different books, the latest one being this one. And at the same time, you're creating beautiful music. So, do you see yourself as balanced?
No. I'm extremely unbalanced, and it's quite a struggle, and I'm sure many people experience this, to take the different aspects of ourselves and integrate them in kind of a beautiful, harmonious way. So they're not fighting like cats and dogs. And my parts of my mind fight sometimes back and forth between the musical side and the more, logical side. But I guess it's my goal to have them be harmonious, to have a partnership together in some sort of evolution. And that's really the goal of it every day, to bring the musical side and the idea side together. And just to have it all work in an incredible way. And not just for me, but for everybody. How we can all do that in our lives every day. To be more than we think we can be, basically. That's really the goal. To surpass these sort of narrow boundaries and categories that society set up for us. It's either musical or it's scientific. Actually, a lot of great scientists have been fantastic
That's worth
musicians.
acknowledging. That's very much worth acknowledging.
And a lot of musicians, I mean, like Brian May of Queen, it also has a PhD in astrophysics. But we all know him for Queen and We Will Rock You, but he's not doing that, he's studying nebulas. So it's actually not that uncommon for people to do several things. So how can we bring it together so that it actually becomes more than the sum of the parts, bigger, right? Transcendent. I think that's what
Right. Transcend it and create something
we don't even know what
transcendent.
it is, but it's bigger than all of it.
And just for a quick brainstorm, perhaps Dark Matter Monsters becomes a rock opera.
Yeah.
Yes. And the ideas of opening mind that discusses crop circles and ETs and experiences that are very much on the fringe. Well, I'll just read the subheading, and this is your first book of more than 20 years ago. A journey of extraordinary encounters, crop circles, and resonance.
And music is resonant.
Music is all about
We're all
resonance.
resonant. We're all resonant. Resonant personality.
Yes, and when we speak words like poetry, perhaps, it's all about resonance.
It's all about breaking boundaries.
Yes.
And it's always a risk for any artist to do that because you don't know where you're going to end up. But without that, there's really no reward. And that's really what it's about.
Pushing the
Yeah,
boundaries.
I think so.
Yes.
To new places to grow.
Right.
expand.
Right. Well, let's have room for that acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you may be speaking to the choir in a sense. I love what you do, Simeon, and I have for quite a number of years. I wondered, is there a particular event or project that you would like to share? Maybe we've covered it, but I have a sense that we may want to complete this segment and soon move on to our next guest artist. So, anything you'd like to let us know about?
I think the idea is, can we use sound and music to create a sort of self-sustaining type of energy that could power our technology instead of combustion fuels?
Okay.
And it turns sound into type of perpetual energy that could create new states of matter.
Wow.
Keep compressing it beyond what acoustic art to create something different. Because that's what I think these cryptids and Bigfoot already know how to do. They just haven't shared their secret with us. So can we figure out what they're doing, to create all sorts of paranormal and metaphysical effects, but something that would be helpful, in how we live. So it's less polluted, more abundant, so forth and so forth. That's what we're working on.
Okay. Well, I think we all wish you success in that.
And Ira, thanks. I just want to say thanks to Ira for being part of my creative life for 2 decades.
And the feeling and the gratitude is mutual, Simeon. You've been a part of my creative life.
Yes. Rock on.
Rock on, rock on. Okay. Well, let's thank Simeon, and we will move to the next segments of our show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being our guest.
Would you like one more?
Oh, we have time. Oh, let's do. Yeah. So
Okay, one more
so
while
play
we're
us
here.
out. Oh, super. And if I don't stand up and be comfortable.
That guitar went out of tune while I was playing. You didn't hear it. And I just want to make sure it's in tune. No, it's built in right here. Whoa. It is built in. There's a new string.
It's a Fishman tuner.
This is like Leo Todd said. It begins like all my songs with a lot of tune. 12 strings works. Hey. Okay, we're good. So this song. So have you seen the hummingbirds around this time of year? They come back. So for me, hummingbirds are always a little paranormal. I think that they're using what I was just telling you about. They're compressing energy in a way to be more than that tiny little size. They migrate in one flight. They don't take any breaks. All the way up from Mexico or Southern California, wherever they come from. That tiny, you know, they weigh like less than an ounce. It's incredible. Anyway, this is my song about hummingbirds. It's called Gymongorous.